days. We don't have to say I love you quite as often as we used to. Old love just goes without saying, but we still say it anyway. And old love just goes without saying, but we'll still say it anyway. Oh, Ellis Island was swarming like a scene from a costume ball, decked out in the colors of Europe and on fire with the hope of it all. There my father's own father stood huddled, tired, hungry, and scared. The turn of the century pilgrims, bound by the dreams that they shared. They were standing in lines just like cattle, poked, sorted, and shoved, some one desk away from sweet freedom, some torn from someone they love. In that sprawling Tower of Babel came a young man, confused and alone, determined and bound for America, carrying everything that he owned. Sometimes when I look in my grandfather's immigrant eye, I see that day reflected, and I can't hold my feelings inside. I see starting with nothing, working hard all of his life. So don't take it for granted, say grandfather's immigrant life. Now he rocks and he stares out the window, but his eyes still look as clear as the day he sailed to this country, landed in the island of tears. Now my grandfather's days are numbered, but I won't let his memory die. Gave me the gift of this country and the look in his immigrant eye. Sometimes when I look in my grandfather's immigrant eye, I see that day reflected, and I can't hold my feelings inside. I see starting with nothing, working hard all of his life. So don't take it for granted, say grandfather's immigrant eye. Don't you take it for granted, say grandfather's immigrant eye. How do I know my youth is all spent? My get up and go has got up and went. But in spite of it all, I'm able to grin and think of the places my get up has been. Old age is golden, or so I've heard said, but I wonder each evening as I crawl into bed, with my ears in a drawer, my teeth in a cup, my eyes on the table until I wake up. As sleep dims my vision, I say to myself, is there anything else I should lay on the shelf? Though nations are warring and business is vexed, we'll still stick around to see what happens next. How do I know my youth is all spent? My get up and go has got up and went. But in spite of it all, I'm able to grin and think of the places my get up has been. I wake up each morning and dust off my wits, open the paper and read the obits. When I'm not there, I know I'm not dead, so I eat a good breakfast and go back to bed. How do I know my youth is all spent? My get up and go has got up and went. But in spite of it all, I'm able to grin and think of the places my get up has been. When I was younger, my slippers were red. I could kick up my heels right over my head. When I was older, my slippers were blue, but still I could dance the whole night through. Now that I'm older, my slippers are black. I huff to the store and I puff my way back. But never you laugh, I don't mind at all. I'd rather be huffing than not puff at all. How do I know my youth is all spent? My get up and go has got up and went. But in spite of it all, I'm able to grin and think of the places my get up has been. How do I know my youth is all spent? My get up and go has got up and went. But in spite of it all, I'm able to grin and think of the places my get up has been. There's not a pretty or a handsome that could hope to stand in place or hold a candle to the light I've seen shining in your face. And what no random quirk of nature could ever compromise the thing that makes you beautiful is in your eyes. Oh, the thing that makes you beautiful is in your eyes. And some may prize the form of beauty that's been sized up by men, paraded and rated on a scale from 1 to 10. But don't they know that there's no contest for the fairest of the fair? For the thing that makes you beautiful is beyond compare. Oh, the thing that makes you beautiful, the thing that makes you beautiful, the thing that makes you beautiful is beyond compare. Now there are those who say that beauty is the flower of the day, that it blooms in youth only, and with age will fade away, but enduring as diamonds and more shiny than gold. Oh, the thing that makes you beautiful cannot grow old. Oh, the thing that makes you beautiful cannot grow. So if there's ever any question, if you get to feeling dull and old, won't you let me be where the truth is always told. For in the eye of this beholder, you're a bright and shining star. Oh, the thing that makes you beautiful is the way you are. Oh, the thing that makes you beautiful, the thing that makes you beautiful, the thing that makes you beautiful is just the way you are. You're that one special woman I thought I'd never find, with the strength to be gentle and the courage to be kind. It hasn't all been roses, still I know you'll understand. One of these nights when we're sharing a dream, gonna take you by the hand and lay you down on a bed of roses in that peaceful shelter only love can provide. I'll lay you down on a bed of roses, and then I'll lay me down right by your side. There's no diamond on your finger, just a simple wedding band. Seems your knight in shining armor, it's just an ordinary man. Though I promised you a kingdom, didn't turn out like we planned. One of these nights when we're making believe, gonna take you by the hand and lay you down on a bed of roses in that peaceful shelter only love can provide.
Good evening, everyone. We'll be starting the show in just a few minutes. But before we do, we have a little bit of a video to show for you. Talk about the technology. If you want to come online into the Zoom, I'm going to post the Zoom links shortly into both Facebook and YouTube. And you're welcome to come over so you can interact with the artists and applaud and laugh. But first, a little instructional video for how to interact on Zoom.
Hello everyone, and thanks so much for joining us. We're going to get the show started in just a moment. For those of you on the more interactive Zoom side of things, we would like as many of you as are comfortable to remain unmuted during the show for laughter and applause between songs, but please remain quiet during the songs. In order to be unmuted, you must be in a quiet space. That means phones on silent, no dogs barking, no children running around, or the thunderous crunching of potato chips, just like in a movie theater or real concert. But if you would like to volunteer to be unmuted, you will need to find the Raise Your Hand button on Zoom. To find it, you'll need to go down to the bottom of your screen to see the participant button right here. It says participants. When you click on that, you will see a window pop open at the right side of the screen. At the bottom of the list of names, you will see this blue raise your hand button. If you click this button to digitally raise your hand, you are signaling to the technicians that you are in a quiet space and would like to volunteer to be unmuted. If you find yourself muted again, do not take it personally. There is probably just some noise that we can hear in the background that is inhibiting the show, like the fan inside of your computer kicking on. Thank you so much, and with that, we will kick it over to today's partner.
Welcome, everyone, to this very exciting installment of The Root Cellar at Home, Calliope's online series aimed at bringing great musicians into your home once a month. I'm Phil Smith, a Calliope board member. We're very pleased to present Robert Jones and Matt Watroba. Be sure to stay tuned for a question and answer session after the performance. First, though, a little housekeeping. In accordance with our mission, Calliope aims to support local and national artists as best we can. 75% of your tip for tonight's performance goes to the artists and 25% goes to additional fees. If you haven't already, you can go to paypal.me/CalliopeHouse to tip Robert and Matt. The suggested amount is $20, but you may tip what you wish. Please be generous. I'm pleased to announce the next concert in this series will be the Canadian folk group Le Vent du Nord. The band performs traditional Québécois music as well as original numbers, and they'll be performing virtually for us on November the 12th. More information about all our events is available on the Calliope House website. You can stay up to date at www.calliopehouse.org. And you can also sign up for our e-blast, where we're currently featuring some great videos from local musicians. Now, I'm pleased to introduce our artists. Ever since their first meeting over 20 years ago, Robert Jones and Matt Watroba have been musical partners. Their relationship started when they hosted back-to-back radio shows on WDET-FM in Detroit. Later they started performing together, and they developed a friendship based on mutual respect and a love for traditional American music. Now Matt and Robert literally travel the nation, extolling the virtues of what they call music that matters. In 2017, Robert and Matt co-founded Common Chords, a 501(c)(3) educational organization designed to create community, cultural, and historical connections through music and the arts. If you want to hear more, check out their 2019 CD called Common Chords, where they perform folk, blues, and gospel tunes, plus a song called 3 Chords and 5 Notes that captures the musical similarities among blues, bluegrass, gospel, rock, and rap music. For Matt and Robert, American roots music matters because it is the music that America and the world have in common. It's a music that reflects history, social change, migration, hopes and dreams. It's a music that's rich and diverse, direct and powerful. As talented as they are individually, Matt and Robert together form a synergy that's hard to describe, but we're about to experience it now. So, please remember to join the Q&A after the show, and please welcome Robert Jones and Matt Watroba.
Hey everybody, thank you so much for taking time out of your evening to spend it with us and folks out there in Facebook land and YouTube land and right here in our Zoom. My name is Matt Watroba. This is my musical partner and friend for the last 30 years, the Reverend Robert Jones. We met doing back-to-back radio shows, as he mentioned. And that was back in 1986. Soon after that, somebody thought it would be interesting to see what would happen if they put us together in concert. What would happen if a folk guy got together with a blues guy? Well, what happened was country music. In fact, that's what we ended up playing all night. That was the music we had in common. So since then, we begin every show with this song from the great Hank Williams. And you can help us out at home if you'd like. All you have to do is just shout "Mind Your Own Business" every time we sing it. People in the other room will wonder what you're up to. If my wife and me is supposed to mister, that's alright. Me and that woman got a license to fight. Why don't you mind your own business? I said mind your own business. If you mind your business, then you won't be minded mine. There's a lady on the party line, a nosy thing. Picks up the receiver when she knows it's my ring. Why don't you mind your own business? Mind your own business. If you mind your business, then you won't be minded mine. Oh, play the harmonica, Reverend Jones. You all right? If I wanna honk tonk around at 2 or 3, well, that's my headache, mother. Don't you worry about me. Just mind your own business. Mind your own business. If you mind your business, then you won't be minded mine. Oh, play it again, Robert. Play it again, man. Little lady wears her hair up high. All the boys whistle when she walks by. Why don't they mind their own business? Mind your own business. If you mind your business, then you won't be minded mine. Oh, play one more time, Robert. Let's see that. Other people's business seems to be high tone. I got all I can do just to mind my own. Why don't you mind your own business? Mind your own business. If you mind your business, then you won't be minded mine. Well, if you mind your business, you stay busy all the time.
Well, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. That's a little taste of folk music. And it's folk music not because of the style of it, because you know there are lots of styles within folk music. It's folk music because of the nature of it. It's the kind of music everyday folks used to make with each other, still make with each other. Friend with a guitar, add a friend with a harmonica, add some folks, whether in person or by Zoom, and you got folk music. Now, this stuff came before the laser light shows and explosions on stage and the wardrobe malfunctions. If you wanted to keep that audience hooked in those days, you had the tricks of showmanship. Maybe you played a really long note. Maybe you played the harmonica upside down. Maybe you played with your nose. Whatever it took is what you did. And as much as we like this idea of showmanship, we really like the fact that this music has a lot to teach us about who we are, where we've come from, and really, I think, where we're going.
When you listen to a song like Mind Your Own Business, the song we just played, it's amazing how you can hear the whole timeline of American music in that one song. And I'll show you what we mean. You can sometimes when we think of this music, we think of it as a tree. So if you imagine this huge tree out in the middle of the forest, and on this tree are all these different branches, and each branch is a different kind of American music. So there might be a rock and roll branch, there might be a rap branch, there could be a hip hop branch, country, classical, all the different genres of music. But what Robert and I have discovered in our friendship and in our time together over the last 3 decades is that if you trace those branches underneath the ground, at the root of American music, all those branches are related. just like the people who brought their music to America hundreds of years ago. You can either fight about what makes it different, or you can celebrate the similarities. And so Robert and I want to celebrate the similarities. And let me just show you how similar some of this music is. Take that song we were just doing. It's an old country song, as I mentioned, by the great Hank Williams. But watch what happens if I take those same 3 guitar chords, the E major, the A major, and the B7. I'm going to play them in the same order, give them the same amount of time. The only change I'm going to make is to the tempo. So I'm going to slow it down. Same song, slowed down, and watch how magically another branch pops off that musical tree. You ready, Robert?
Let's try it.
Sing the old song. 'Cause if you mind your business, you sure won't be minding mine. And with that one little change, we have the blues. Well, what would happen if we switched instruments?
Well, let's try it.
Maybe take those same 3 guitar chords this time, rather than slowing them down, we'll make them go a little faster. And see if we can get yet another one of those branches to pop off the musical tree. And so all of a sudden you have this.
Way down in Louisiana, down in New Orleans, back up in the wood among the evergreens, stood an old cabin made of earth and wood, with a little boy named Johnny B. Good. Little boy can never read or write so well, but he can play the guitar just like the ring in a bell. Go, go, Johnny, go, go, go.
So you can see that all of a sudden you can go from blues to country to rock and roll just simply by playing around with the tempo. And that's what makes American roots music so interesting to us, and why we've devoted the last, 3 decades of our lives trying to tell America's story, our story really, through this American roots. Because one of the things we discovered is that you wouldn't have American music if it wasn't for the sharing of this music between cultures. So it seems to me every time a new branch pops off that tree, it's because, especially in America, it's when a black culture gets together with white culture, and all of a sudden they share their music, and new music comes out of it as a result. So when people ask us if we do one of those diversity tolerance programs, I always have to laugh and say, I tolerate back pain. I celebrate diversity, because diversity is what gives us our music. It's what gives us our art. It's what gives us our culture. And to me, that is worth celebrating. So what Robert and I would like to do for you over the next hour is just sort of uncover what we've learned about how American roots music tells our story, and how that we could even contribute occasionally to those branches. But to really show and tell this story, you have to go back in time a little bit. Right. So you can't, we could come right out and start with songs that...
If you like it, then you should have put a ring on it. If you like it, then you should have put... I love Beyonce, but that is frankly not our gift. What you got to do is go back to the roots of that tree that Matt was talking about. The roots don't change that quickly. The branches may change every 20 minutes, but the roots continue on. So when we go back in time to, say, 1845, and we'll change location, since we are literally all over the world right now, let's decide that we're in decide we're in Alabama, and it's a hot day. The windows and the doors are flung open to get a breeze through, a hot breeze.
What year
That's
is
a
it?
Freudian slip. About 1845. So we are right before the start of the Civil War, in the midst of slavery and freedom and all those issues. And we hear this coming out of this old weather-beaten building with the doors and windows flung open.
Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I'm found. Was blind, but now I see. That song has become such a part of who we are as a culture that we forget that it's been around for over 100 years and that song has changed in so many ways. In fact, as you're listening to that song in that weather-beaten building, you realize that that old building is a church. And if it wasn't for the kind of music being made and maybe more importantly preserved in churches back then, that's where our music comes from. Some people will tell you that music comes from the blues. The truth is it comes from the spirituals. It comes from those very early church songs. But the thing is, back in 1845, not all churches were the same. You could go 500 feet down the path and have a very different yet similar experience.
Right. Imagine, down the path, you've got a barn. And in that barn, you've got slaves or enslaved people who are singing their own song. And somehow, through the magic of music, the music changes a little bit. So this is what you hear coming out of the barn in what Frederick Douglass called the invisible church. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I'm found. Was blind, but now I see. Oh Lord, I see. Now, Matt and I go to a lot of schools, and sometimes we'll do both versions of that song and ask the kids if that's the same song, and they go, no. And the reason they don't get it is because that music sounds so different. But what is it that changes a song just a few feet down the road? Well, the fact is, when folks came off of ships like the Mayflower, they brought their songs, but they brought their scale, their way of understanding music. They brought this from Europe. But there are some folks who came over on ships like the Amistad, and they brought this. Starts on the same note and ends on the same note, but gets there in only 5 steps. A pentatonic scale, a minor pentatonic scale. And so that much of American music is that tension between the European and the African. But something else changes that song even more, and that's how you learn it. Imagine you had the song and you wrote it down so that you wouldn't lose it over time and distance. You wrote it in a hymnal, and folks sang, Amazing Grace. Your father sang, Amazing Grace. And you sang, Amazing Grace. And your son sang, Amazing Grace. And 7 generations later, your great-great-great-great-granddaughter joined the glee club, and she sings, Amazing Grace. Yeah, changes a little bit. But what happens in those places where you don't write it down, you pass it down? Your father used to sing, Amazing Grace. And when you heard him sing it, you said, Daddy, it ain't fancy enough. You sung, Amazing Grace. Now, little did you know your son was going to fall in love with that pretty girl from Kentucky. When she sings The Baby's Asleep, she's been known to sing, Amazing Grace. And then, 7 generations later, your great-great-great-great-granddaughter, Aretha, goes to Washington, puts on a really cool hat, and she sings, amazing grace. That's just 2 words. So 20 minutes later, not only have you heard Amazing Grace, but you've experienced the folk process, because that song keeps changing depending on the people who are doing the singing and the need and the mood and the feeling that they bring to the song.
And that, folks, is the most important distinction you can make between people's music and all the other music. You know, when Beethoven wrote, the Fifth Symphony, he wrote that down with very few variations. It's, pretty much remained the same tune over the years. But this music was meant to be changed and adapted. So those spirituals could quickly change and become songs for the Underground Railroad. 100 years later, those same songs could be quickly changed to become songs for the Civil Rights Movement, or for the labor movement, or for the Arab Spring, or for whatever reason we need to sing our songs. They're constantly changing. It's like that old game we used to play when we were kids, telephone, where we would whisper something in somebody's ear, they'd whisper it, and it changes every time it gets to the end. Well, that's what happens when you transmit this music, not through music and songbooks, but from mouth to ear, from ear to mouth, mouth to ear. And that's what we find fascinating. That's why, move ahead to, say, 1908 or 9 or 10, and you're down in the South, in the deep South, down in Meridian, Mississippi. And now this is after slavery is over, with quotes on it, because, of course, there's a lot still going on with Jim Crow laws. But for the first time in a long time, folks could sing what was actually on their mind. And that's when this new form of music started to emerge, called the blues.
Nice. Simple. 3 chords. And 5 notes, really.
So we imagine this down in Meridian, Mississippi, this guy is playing the blues for the first time.
Yeah.
And it sounds like this, at least the first time I've ever heard it. And of course he's singing about what, Robert?
Women.
Women?
Yeah, I mean, you can sing about crops that wouldn't grow, and horses that won't plow, and women. Cars that won't start, and money and the lack thereof, and women. And, lots of other good things. Floods, hurricanes, and earthquakes, and women.
And in this case, specifically, singing about his girlfriend, whose name is Thelma.
Lord have mercy. I got a T-Bird, Texas. Ooh, T-Bird, Tennessee. T-Bird, Texas. T-Bird, Tennessee. Got a T-Bird, Thelma. And a woman gave the blues to me.
So imagine every day this guy is down there singing this blues. And this white guy, let's say me.
You want to be the white guy tonight?
I'll be the white guy tonight. I love this sound, and I want to sing this too. I want to sound like that, And I'm listening to this guy play this new style of music. And when I go to sing my song, which also happens to be about my girlfriend, who also happens to be named Thelma, comes out a little different.
2 Thelmas in one town.
A small town. Goes like this. As he's singing this, you can see a new branch pop off that musical tree, because he combines the blues with other styles around him. I got a T for Texas. I got a T for Tennessee. I got a T for Texas. A T for Tennessee. mama, the one who gave the blues to me. Yodel-o, 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 lo-lo-lo-lo-lo. Now, we don't know where the yodel came from. That was probably some Swiss guy walking through town. But when Jimmie Rodgers put that yodel onto that blues, all of a sudden, country music was born. And then, in the 20th century, this just started happening like crazy because people were hearing the music not just in their own region, but they were hearing it on this new invention called the radio and this new invention called the phonograph. And all of a sudden, music that could just be heard in Texas was being heard in Chicago and in Europe. And pretty soon there was this explosion of style that started to happen. Every single time, folks would share their music with each other. In fact, as he mentioned, I think we can give the Calliope House a little example of how we can do, let's say, 6 decades of American music in about 7 minutes.
Yep.
You got that in you?
Going down that blues road, right? Because the blues really is that road, or it's that spine, it's that river that feeds so many styles of American music. Those 3 chords and those 5 notes go from style to style, region to region. And let's say they start off, let's say in the Mississippi Delta with a guy like Son House. And Son is playing something called the Death Letter Blues. This music, I find out, is also informed by Native American music. You can hear that rhythm. I got a letter this morning, how do you ring it red? Say, hurry, hurry, cause the man you love is dead. You know I got a letter this morning. Oh Lord, I ring it red. Say, hurry, hurry, cause the girl you love is dead. Well, that was hot stuff in the Delta. But pretty soon that music moved north to cities like Memphis, where they had piano players. And those piano players picked up on those 5 notes. And they played it on one hand while they played the 3 chords on the other. We ended up with songs like this one. Won't you hand me down my jumper? Won't you hand my overalls? Won't you hand me down my jumper? Won't you hand my overalls? Well, I'm about to catch a train, what they call a cannonball. That was hot stuff in the 20s. But by the time the 30s rolled around, America was in a Great Depression. And a lot of those boogie-woogie piano players ended up in black churches. And all of a sudden, black church music started to sound suspiciously like boogie-woogie. Much to the chagrin of the pastor, of course, they didn't call it church boogie-woogie. They called it gospel. Well, this little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Oh, this little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, Lord, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Well, everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Everywhere I go, Lord, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Yeah. But it didn't end there. Imagine that music travels to Kentucky under the wing of a man by the name of Mr. Bill Monroe. And Bill Monroe invents something called bluegrass, one of the most, frankly, un-Negro kind of music you can imagine. 5 white guys standing around a microphone that looks a lot like this one, wearing a cowboy hat and yelling, "Yee-haw!" It's not my idea of heaven. But that's okay, because those guys, they were playing blues too, partially because of a guy named Arnold Schultz, a black man who had taught so many people in Kentucky how to play music, but he himself never recorded, and partially because of the guitar player, a man by the name of Lester Flatt. Because Lester Flatt played the G run. at the end of those bluegrass melodies. Sir, would you demonstrate the G run?
Absolutely. You know, every guitar player has to learn how to go like this if you're playing bluegrass.
Oh, that's so sweet. Do that again, man. That's nice. Now, you astute listeners at the Calliope will know that that's just the boogie woogie played with a flat pick. So you end up with songs like, I'm going down the road feeling bad, Lord, I'm going down the road feeling bad. I'm going down the road feeling bad, Lord, and I ain't gonna be treated this way. Yeehaw! Same 3 chords, same 5 notes. Well, it doesn't end there. Imagine it's about 1948. Get a young man by the name of Ray Charles, not to be confused with Jamie Foxx. And Ray Charles was a pioneer of another kind of music. He took gospel and secularized it. Everywhere he used to say Jesus, Ray said baby. It worked out just fine until one night he ran out of songs. And he said to the band, that's all right, baby, just sing back to me what I sang to you. So you guys are in the band. Sing back to us what we sing to you. Are you ready? Let's try it. Say, hey, hey, oh, oh, hey, hey, oh, oh, hey, 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 oh. Tell me what I said. 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 Let's do it again. Say, tell me what I say. 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 What I say. I say those are the same 3 chords and the same 5 notes, but now we call it R&B. Doesn't end there. Imagine it's 1955, and instead of a radio, you got a television, a giant television in the middle of your living room with a little tiny screen. Right? And the thing is, you got an antenna, and your little brother's got to hold on to the antenna so the picture will come in. But that's okay. There are only 3 stations, and that means everybody's sort of watching the same thing at the same time. On Sunday nights, you on CBS, and you're watching Ed Sullivan. And he comes on and goes, ladies and gentlemen, we have a really good show for you tonight. You're going to like this young man. He comes to us by way of Tupelo, Mississippi. And Memphis, Tennessee. He uses 3 chords and 5 notes, ladies and gentlemen. And the kid walks on the stage and goes, get your Zoom ready. 1 for the money, for the show. People get ready now. Go, cat, go, don't you? Mess with my blue suede shoes. You can do the things of my blue suede shoes. Yeah. Blue, blue, blue suede shoes. Blue, blue, blue suede shoes. Blue, blue, blue suede shoes. Blue, blue, blue suede. You can do the things of my blue suede shoes. Thank you very much. They said it couldn't be done on Zoom, but we just did it, didn't we? Yeah, that was Elvis. He's the king of rock and roll. At least he's the white king of rock and roll. There's also a black king by the name of Chuck Berry, but we've always already alluded to him. But imagine what the country was like when the music was segregated, when white kids couldn't listen to black music and black kids were allowed to listen to white music, but they crossed that line because they knew it was cool. And so by the time the 60s rolled around, you got 5 good-looking kids from Detroit traveling in the Deep South, segregated gymnasiums and dances, rope down the middle to keep the kids separate. But when those kids hear those 5 notes coming out of Detroit, the kids themselves tear down the rope and start to dance together. Sunshine on a cloudy day, when it's cold outside, I've got the month of May.
You know you want to sing.
Well, I guess you say, what can make me feel this way? My girl, my girl, my girl, girl. Ooh. Yeah, I like that part.
So there you go, from the 1910s to the 1960s, which makes you think, well, is that all there is? Does that continue? Do we go on from there? Well, very often when Robert and I are playing in a school or at a middle school, you know, the kids will like that. They all know that song, but they still a little reluctant because they don't think this has anything to do with the music of their day.
They say, that's granddaddy's music.
Yeah, but we quickly show them that in order to make it relevant in the year 2020, we need to go back to that Delta blues man, Son House.
Right.
And that song called Death Letter Blues. Remember, it sounded like this.
Yeah, just do a little remix. So instead of doing it like Son House did it, with 2 verses, we do 1. We speed up the tempo of that song, and eventually we fade the music out. And it becomes this. I got a letter this morning, how do you think it read? Said, hurry, hurry, cause the gal you love is dead. You know I packed up my suitcase, took off down the road. When I got there, she was laying out on the cooling board. I eat up close and I looked down in her face and said, hey, you know I love you, but I didn't take your place. It seemed like the 1,000 was standing round the funeral ground. I didn't know how much I loved until they put my baby in the ground. For my own, then I walk away and say, hey, you know I love you. Have to see your judgment day. You know I wasn't this morning. It was about to break a day. I was hugging on a pillow when my baby used to lay. You know I went to church about death. I tried to pray, but the winds come along and they blowed my spirit away. Woke up this morning about the break of day, and I was hugging on a pillow where my baby used to lay. I said, hush. I thought I heard her call my name. She didn't call so loud, but she called so plain. Yeah, boy. Yeah.
That brings it around full circle. And just to show you again that this music is more similar than it is different. And as our people, right? That's what we've learned. And Robert and I have had an amazing friendship for over 30 years, traveling, as he said, around the country, just having a blast, discovering new things about how this music tells our story, the roots and the branches of this music. And we do want to remind you that although this is all free, you're under no obligation. We would love for you to, if you can afford to send a tip over to the PayPal account or a check over to Robert. I think all of that is in the chat. We'd love to give some money to the Calliope House. Not only, of course, the musicians are really hurting during this time, but boy, so are the venues. And we really salute the Calliope House out in Pittsburgh for keeping it relevant, for keeping it online as we get through this. And we will, right, Robert? We will get through this.
We will get through this, man. It's like, there's nothing like perspective of understanding. Not only will we get through this, but we know we'll get through this because we've gotten through other stuff, right? You think about how not only do we have this music in common, we have this history in common. And what we do is we change whatever we need to change to make it relevant for us. Take a song like Stew Ball that starts literally, 300 years ago or more?
Yeah, they can actually trace the original race that this song talks about to the 1700s in Ireland.
Wow. And it's still being sung.
Travel, change, cross the ocean, back across the ocean. It's just amazing to watch how these songs change.
So there's a version of this by Peter, Paul, and Mary?
Sure.
And then
Woody Guthrie?
Lead Belly.
Lead Belly.
And then there's a guy named Lonnie Donegan who fell in love with the sound of skiffle music and with the sound of guys like Lead Belly and Lonnie Johnson, and he brought it back again. And so we're going to bring it back again, but in the person of 2 great bluesmen. One, Willie Dixon,
yep,
who was a great bass player.
Memphis Slim, who's an amazing piano player.
And we play neither bass nor piano.
So we have to do it our own way. And I love singing this song, but it tells the same story. It tells the story about a horse race to this really cool groove.
1 chord, ladies and gentlemen.
You can play along at home if you know a G chord. Was a big day in Dallas. Oh, I wish I was there. Gave my last $100 on that iron gray mare. See her travel all day long, long, long. See her travel all day long, all day long. Oh, Stu, well, I don't mind horse racing if it wasn't my wife. Oh, Stu Ball, they stumble and away with my life. Wife and baby left behind. Wife and baby left behind. Left behind. Oh, Stu Ball, he was a black horse, just a slick ass, a mo. Had a ring around his far shoulder, and it shine like gold, like gold, like gold. He had a ring around his far shoulder, and it shine like gold, like gold. Now old Stu Ball, he was a racehorse, but the poor horse, he was blind. He ran so fast down in Texas, he left his shadow behind, 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 left his shadow behind, behind. Oh, Stu Ball was a racehorse, and old Molly, she was too. Oh, Molly, she did stumble, and old Stu Ball just flew around the racetrack all day long, 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 round the racetrack all day long, all day long, all day long, all day long. Such a cool. That's the most fun you can have with one chord.
That's a groove there, man.
But it just shows you how these songs just travel and change. And I'm sure there's probably versions of that song we have never even heard before. And of course, one of the families who got this all started for us, at least in America, who you can trace back almost any country music song back to the Carter family at some point. And the Carter family themselves, who went out into the mountains and collected all these great songs, probably would have had half those songs if it wasn't for an African-American man by the name of Leslie Riddle, who went with A.P. Carter and probably got him into places where he wouldn't have been able to get in himself. He could have got there, but maybe they wouldn't have opened their song treasure to him without the presence of Leslie Riddle. So do you want to do a Carter family song
Let's
real
do
quick?
a Carter family song, man.
I will switch over to the banjo. And I do also want to mention, you guys, that if you have any questions or comments that we can talk about when the show is over, you can come over and join us in Zoom. But if you just if you write those into the comment section on Facebook or on YouTube, Brian will write those down and we'll get them on the chat here in Zoom. And after the concert's all over with, we'll be more than happy to open up the discussion and talk about these songs or anything that's on your mind. We'd love to continue and talk after the concert's over.
Edutainment.
most fun you can have while learning. That's what I'm always hoping for.
Absolutely.
So I'm going to switch to this old long neck banjo, which you can look at. You can't even get it in the hole. There it is.
Pete would be proud.
And this old song, again, this song was sung in almost every genre you can imagine. There's blues versions of this song. Woody Guthrie did this song. Old country song. Great to sing along. Sowing on the mountain,
Sowing on the mountain,
reaping in the valley.
reaping in the valley.
Sowing on the mountain,
Sowing on the mountain,
reaping in the valley.
reaping in the valley.
Sowing on the mountain,
Sowing on the mountain,
reaping in the valley.
reaping in the valley.
You're gonna reap
Just what you sow.
if you've been a liar.
If you've been a liar,
Better quit your lying.
better quit your lying.
If you've been a liar.
If you've been a liar,
better quit your
better
lying.
quit your lying.
If you've been a liar.
Better
Better quit your
Better quit
lying.
your lying.
You're gonna reap
Just what you sow.
sowing on the mountain,
Sowing on the mountain,
reaping in the valley.
reaping in the valley.
Sowing on the mountain,
Sowing on the mountain,
reaping in the valley.
reaping in the valley.
Sowing on the mountain,
Sowing on the mountain,
reaping in the
reaping in the
valley. You're
valley.
gonna reap
Just what you sow.
if you've been a gambler.
If you've been a gambler,
Better quit your
better
gambling.
quit your gambling.
If you've been a gambler.
If you've been a gambler,
you better quit your
better
gambling.
quit your gambling.
If you've been a gambler.
If you've been a gambler,
better quit your
better quit your
gambling.
gambling.
You're gonna reap
Just what you sow.
sowing on the mountain,
Sowing on the mountain,
reaping in the valley.
reaping in the valley.
Sowing on the mountain,
Sowing on the mountain,
reaping in the valley.
reaping in the valley.
Sowing on the mountain,
Sowing on the mountain,
reaping in the valley.
reaping in the valley.
You're gonna reap
Just what you sow. God showed Noah
God showed Noah
rainbow sign.
rainbow sign.
God showed Noah
God showed Noah
rainbow sign.
rainbow sign.
God showed Noah
God showed Noah
rainbow sign. Won't be water by next time.
Said it won't be water,
Won't be water
but a fire next time.
by next time.
Said it won't be water,
Won't be water,
but a fire next time.
by next time.
Won't be water,
Won't be
but a fire
water
next time.
by next
When
time.
God gave Noah,
God gave Noah
rainbow song. Play that thing,
rainbow
man.
sign.
That's it. Sowing on the mountain,
Sowing on the mountain,
reaping in the valley.
reaping in the valley.
Sowing on the mountain,
Sowing on the mountain,
reaping in the valley.
reaping in the valley.
Sowing on the mountain,
Sowing on the
reaping in the
mountain,
valley.
reaping in the valley.
You're gonna reap,
Just what you sow.
yeah, you're
You're
gonna
gonna
reap.
reap just what you sow.
I like that one.
That's fun. So man, time is flying, my
Really?
brother. Yes.
How is that possible? Oh, look at that.
I know, right? All right. So, you know, one of the things that we discover is that music can heal. Music can heal us when we sing songs together, when we realize that we have so much in common, so much more in common than we do to fight about, that we start to realize that there are messages and questions, not so much answers, but questions that we can ask that cause us to stop and view each other as being precious.
Do you want to do Angel first and then that one?
May as well.
All right. This is a song that Robert wrote that I absolutely love. We wanted to make sure with our time left that we're able to show you at least some of the branches that we've contributed. These are a couple of original songs that we've written. You can tell the little story behind
Yeah.
this one. You know, it's just amazing how these grand events will lead to artistic expression.
Well, we've had a lot of grand events in
Yes,
2020,
indeed.
and I suspect that some great songs are going to come out of these events. But something that happened like 20 years ago, which was one of those events where you know exactly where you were when this particular thing happened. I'm talking about the fall of the towers in New York, and all of a sudden we were in this surreal time, and no planes were flying, and people were talking about joining the military. Folks who had not even thought about patriotism started to think about it. Men and women were really getting on board planes to go fight an enemy. We didn't know who the enemy was. But during that time, I remember I was reading a story in Genesis, and it was about Jacob, who had wronged his brother, and then he had gone off and he had acquired family, and he had acquired a cattle, and all of a sudden he had become a family man, a stable man, and his brother was coming to kill him. His brother was coming with 400 armed men. And so Jacob did the best he could to send his family on ahead, figured that he would intercept his brother and do whatever he could to stop him. But that night before his brother got there, they said that Jacob, wrestled with a being. He didn't know what or who the being was until they wrestled all night. And the morning broke, and the being said to him, "Let me go, for the day is breaking." And that's when he realized he was wrestling with an angel. And Jacob told the angel, "I will not let you go until you bless me." So the angel touched him in the hollow of his thigh. And he, from that day forward, walked with a limp as he was marked by that battle. But he also gave him a new name. He says, "No longer will your name be called Jacob, but you will now be called Israel," which means, among other things, he who wrestles with God and prevails. And so this is a song that made me, or a story that made me think about this song called "I Wrestle with the Angel." And the chorus is simply, "And I wrestle with the angel all night long. And I wrestle with the angel all night long. And I wrestle with the angel all night long. And I wrestle with the angel all night long." Now grace is still amazing, but for him who will not see. Started on the second verse. Like Jacob in the wilderness, I don't know wrong or right, but I look to God in heaven to get me through this wicked night. For when my brother comes to kill me, all that I can see is that I must do unto him before he can do unto me. And I wrestle with the angel all night long. And I wrestle with the angel all night long. And I wrestle with the angel all night long. And I wrestle with the angel all night long. Now grace is still amazing, but for him who will not see. He says that grace that brought you safe thus far don't mean a thing to me. And I don't hate you for your actions, your name I barely knew. I hate you for what our father did a long, long time ago. And I wrestle with the angel all night long. And I wrestle with the angel all night long. And I wrestle with the angel all night long. And I wrestle with the angel all night long. And when you wrestle with the angel, the fight might leave you lame. But if you hold on till the morning, the Lord will change your name. Oh, the Lord will change your name. And when my brother comes to kill me, I hope he'll understand how much I'd rather meet him man to man than to beat him hand to hand. But as he comes against our families, I know we'll have to fight. Sometimes war is what you have to do, but that don't make it right. And I wrestle with the angel all night long. And I wrestle with the angel all night long. And I wrestle with the angel all night long. And I wrestle with the angel all night long. So like Jacob in the wilderness, when we grapple through the night. Don't let go without the blessing that comes with the morning's light. For when Jacob met his brother, they both put aside the sword, and they called him by his new name, he who wrestles with the Lord. And I wrestle with the angel all night long, and I wrestle with the angel all night long, and I wrestle with the angel all night long, and I wrestle with the angel all night long. And when you wrestle with the angel, the fight might leave you lame, but if you hold on till the morning, the Lord will change your name. Oh, let him change your name.
So that's a great song.
Thank you, man. This is a great song, too.
This is a song I wrote back in 2017 when I realized that half of my Facebook friends had unfriended the other half of my Facebook friends. Because that's the world we've created, that's the country we're in right now. And I just think it's just more complicated than that, you know? So I just composed a bunch of questions just to remind myself to ask once in a while when I start falling prey to this idea that we are all different. And this is the song I came up with. Could you love me if I don't look like you? Is it deeper? Is it stronger? Something hidden, something true. If I stare a little longer, will I see myself in you? Could you love me if I don't look like you? Could you love me if I don't think like you? Is it deeper? Is it stronger? Something hidden, something true. If I stare a little longer, will I see myself in you? Could you love me if I don't think like you? This life's a burning candle, and it would be a shame if we ignored the difference between the smoke and the flame. Could you love me if I don't pray like you? Is it deeper? Is it stronger? Something hidden, something true. If I stare a little longer, will I see myself in you? Could you love me if I don't pray like you? This moment is a miracle, so why not find a way to be here and be grateful that we share another day? Could you love me if I don't love like you? Is it deeper? Is it stronger? Something hidden, something true. If I stare a little longer, will I find myself in you? Could you love me if I am not like you? I should mention that most of the songs that you've heard this evening are all available on a CD. It took us only 29 years to make. We've talked about making a CD forever. And finally, last year, we did make a CD called Common Chords. Those two songs, Oh, Stew Ball and So On the Mountain, the 3 chords, 5 notes, all that stuff is on there, including the way we'll close out the show tonight, which is, for the last 2 Wednesdays, I've been having the pleasure of doing a workshop online on Zoom with our mutual friend Reggie Harris, who's a terrific songwriter and activist from New York. And we've been talking about the history of protest music and the history of protest songs. And one of the songs, and perhaps the song that has made the most difference in our history, I think, is this particular song that we're going to sing for you now. But again, remember how we said this music comes from somewhere. And this song existed as one of those spirituals decades and 100 years ago, right? This song was first written down in 1900, which means it was probably being sung for 100 years before that. In fact, Robert and I can imagine that on a plantation on one of those mornings where there was going to be an escape, where there was going to be an Underground Railroad incident, that maybe in the morning when they knew that later that night people would be leaving, taking off for the north, that maybe this was one of those comforting hymns that they may have sang around the cook fire. And it was a song that went like this.
If I do not yield, that I will be alright one day.
There's this magical place in the foothills of the Smoky Mountains down in Tennessee called the Highlander School. It used to be called the Highlander Folk School. And back in the 1930s and 40s, it was a place where people learned strategies and organizational strategies for the labor movement. And then in the 1950s and 1960s, it became the place where the strategy was formed for the civil rights movement. And it was run by a guy by the name of Miles Horton and his wife Zilphia. And they both understood how important it was to have culture be part of any of the political training that they were doing. That cultural expression was absolutely essential to life. So at the end of every one of these long days, these long workshops where they would plan and strategize, they would always do a play, sing a song. They would always have a sing-around. And one of the songs they always ended with was this old hymn called I Will Be All Right. Well, in the early 1960s, after the bus boycott in Montgomery, Alabama, Reverend King spoke at the school and realized that that this was a lot bigger than just a bus boycott in Montgomery, Alabama, that in fact it has become a true movement. And every movement needed an anthem. And rather than write a new song, they took that song that Zilphia had been using all those years and they changed it just a little bit. I should say who changed it. It was a guy by the name of Frank Hamilton. It was a guy by the name of Guy Carawan, and it was a guy by the name of Pete Seeger who made just a few different changes to this song and make it become one of the most, if not the most important song in American history. So the lyrics had to change. It couldn't be just I'll be all right, because it wasn't just about I, it was about we. And it couldn't be just about being all right. It had to be about overcoming the true obstacles to freedom and equality for all people. Dr. King said, if one person is oppressed, everyone is oppressed. So I will be all right became we shall overcome. And then they said, well, we got to march to this song occasionally. Maybe we need to give it a little pep. Put a little pep in its step.
Pep.
Like that. And that old hymn became a song that changed and continues to change the world. And of course you know it like this.
We shall overcome. We shall overcome. We shall overcome.
made this song so powerful and makes this song so powerful is that all you have to do is change one little word or phrase and you can have a whole new verse. That way you could keep singing it on the march. Guy Carawan told Robert and I this story about how one time down at the Highlander School in Tennessee, the FBI raided it. They were raiding it all the time. But this one time they cut the power. They were snaking through with weapons drawn. And rather than panic, one little 17-year-old black girl just said, "We are not afraid." And all of a sudden they sang, "We are not afraid. We are not afraid. We are not afraid today. Today. Oh, deep in my heart, I do believe that we shall overcome someday." Now, my partner and friend here knows how much he loves when I put him on the spot.
Uh-oh.
So I'm going to ask him right now to make up a verse about what's happening in our country on November 3rd. Can you come up with a verse? We will rise again. We will rise again. We will rise again.
That day.
That day. Oh, deep in my heart, oh, I do believe that we shall overcome someday. Red and blue together.
That's radical.
Red and blue together. Red and blue together someday. Oh, deep in my heart, I do believe that we shall overcome someday. Well, since we can't stick around for what would be the inevitable encore standing ovation, place going crazy, we thought maybe if you want to thank us, if you enjoyed this program, you can do the most important thing for us, which is to sing this with us one last time. Out there in Zoom land, out there in Facebook land, out there in YouTube land, just let it rip. And we'll use this as a closing to the concert. But if you have questions, comments, put them in the chats. Brian will get them and bring them to us. But for now, let's sing this amazing song together one last time. You ready, Robert?
Yep.
We shall overcome. We shall overcome. We shall overcome someday. Oh, deep in my heart, I do believe that we shall overcome someday.
Matt Wetruba.
Robert Jones.
Thank you so much, y'all.
By the way, if you're at all interested in that record or checking out the new record, mattwatroba.net is probably the easiest way to download it or to order a copy of it. And we sure would appreciate that, wouldn't we, Robert?
Absolutely. And if you like any of our music, you can either hit mattwatroba.net or revrobertjones.com. And we will be talking about upcoming shows and work that we do in the community and lots of other good things. Thank you so much, Calliope, for supporting artists all over the world, all over the country. And thank you for supporting what we do. And I guess that's it.
Unless we have some questions, we can check the chat. Brian, do we have any folks who want to, we can open it up if they'd like.
Yeah, it might be easier for me to just relay this. We do have a question on Facebook from Susan. Actually, two questions. She said, how old were each of you when you started to play? And her second question was, did you compose 3 chords and 5 notes?
Did we compose it?
In a sense, I guess I sort of helped to compose it. We sort of put it together. Matt and I were doing the schools, and when we were in schools, we were just trying to find ways to connect to kids. And we discovered that if you take, an old epic blues song like Death Letter Blues and speed it up, it becomes a rap. And then we both have this mutual love of country music. So I knew that Matt knew the G run, and Matt knows I sing gospel, and so we just sort of edited that whole segment together.
It's interesting. I think of it sometimes as like a rock in a river. It's like it started off pretty rough, and over 30 years, I think that little piece, that 9-minute piece, has just smoothed itself out over time. I would love to actually hear what that might have sounded like 30 years ago, because
scary.
It would be scary. It just keeps changing in little ways, but it certainly was composed in that it was, I think, maybe juxtaposed, if it would be a better word.
Good word.
Yeah, because all those little pieces keep changing. But it's an amazing concept, and a lot of people will ask sometimes, like, what are the 3 chords? And it really isn't 3 chords, but it's really 3 tones on the scale. So the chords are really the 1, 4, and 5. Right. So you can do it in any key, but that 1, 4, 5 is really, and then the minor pentatonic scale is really the 5 notes and the 4 and the 3 chords in any scale. Now I started doing music a lot earlier than Robert.
Yep.
In fact, I had the opportunity to watch Robert blossom as a musician. Because when I first met him, he was really basically learning. He was doing an open mic at a place called, what was that place called?
The Soup
Kitchen Saloon in Detroit. So I started when I was, I started when my dad bought me a guitar for my, I think, 12th or 13th birthday. He gave me a country music songbook because he loved country music. And he said, learn 3 of these songs and you can keep the guitar. So I was basically a 12-year-old singing songs about my babies cheating on me, and, that had to be pretty comical. And I just went on to keeping music in my life forever. I started doing musical theater when I was in 5th grade, and I did that through high school. I've just always had music in my life, but started taking the guitar seriously around 14 or 15.
Yep. Yeah, and I would say I was started in my early 20s to more or less take it seriously. And as I was listening to Sonny Terry and Brownie McGee records, my baby left me standing in the back door crying. And so I had a baby leaving me in the back door too. But it was, it's common themes.
But I remember, because we did back-to-back radio shows starting in 1986. And Robert was really just starting to turn professional at that time. And I can honestly say, of all the musicians I've encountered in my life, I have never seen anyone come so far so quickly than Robert. When Robert got serious about it, man, he got serious about it.
I sold my soul to the Mel Bay Big Note Songbook.
That's right. And it was great. And it was soon after that, like I said, where we first played. So it's been over 30 years that Robert and I have been playing music together and exploring these issues and these things together.
Yep, no doubt. It's been fun, too.
It has been fun.
It's a long time to be with a man.
But Sonny Terry and Brownie McGee never got along, but Robert and I are doing okay. And it's funny how our lives parallel. We have kids around the same age. We got married around the same year. Talk a minute, Robert. I'm going to go to the chat unless somebody else has another question.
Yeah. Absolutely. So, not only do we have sort of parallel lives, we actually celebrate our anniversaries around the same time. I have 2 grandkids. Matt's
got one on the way.
So it's pretty cool. It's great to have a friend that you share values with.
How about our Zoom folks? I see some friends in there that I haven't seen in a while. Good to see Joan. Good to see
is that Jason Smith from dare I say Jason Smith from up north? Is it the same Jason? I don't know.
Sorry.
So
any questions within the Zoom crowd?
Yeah, you guys are going to make us wait another 29 years for another CD?
I hope not. I think we're both interested in this music as healing. We're interested in this music as a way to get into very complex questions and situations. So I don't think, first of all, I'm not sure we got 29 years left.
Oh, I do.
Between CDs, anyway. So I'm hoping that we can, come up with something a little bit sooner.
Right before COVID hit in February, Robert and I literally had our grand opening for a new program that we just are developing called 20 Minutes Apart, which explores friendship, racism, and place. Knowing that we literally grew up 20, 25 minutes apart from each other in the Detroit area, me in the suburbs, Robert in the city, and we might as well have been in different planets. And so we kind of have a new show where we tell the story of how we cross those boundaries to become lifelong friends. And so I have a feeling if we did another CD, it would probably be around these songs that we're doing for 20 minutes apart. In fact, we should probably just develop a Zoom show and start that up again.
Yeah.
Because it's probably going to be a while before we get back on a stage, I'm thinking.
And it's amazing that the things that separate us aren't always about race. I mean, we have folks now fighting about whether they wear a mask or not, right. whether you can go out, whether it's patriotic to not wear a mask or whether it's more patriotic to wear a mask. All those issues that separate us are issues that, if we came to the same table and understood why it was important for you to think the way you do and why it's important that I think the way that I do, we could probably resolve a lot of the issues that we have now.
One of the things we talk about in the show, in fact, is, Robert and I don't agree on everything, even close. I mean, we have different philosophies about stuff. Robert's, I would say, more than a deeply religious man. He is the pastor of an amazing church on the east side of Detroit, and I worship baseball. So that's
and he worships baseball in Detroit, which is not an easy road.
That's right.
It's been a long time.
It'd be easier to do it in a city that actually has a professional team, wouldn't it?
If you told me you worship football, in Detroit, forget it, man. He's a nihilist.
But yeah, so the thing is though is that we respect each other because we know each other so well. We spend 26 hours in a weekend in the car together sometimes, traveling out to Pittsburgh or traveling to the East Coast. And, and I'm telling you, those conversations are precious to me. There's very few people in this world that I can have that kind of deep discussion. And I think that's what comes out in our music and in our friendship,
Without a doubt.
Guys, what do you have for upcoming shows?
I knew somebody was going to call an asset. We actually, next weekend on Saturday, are doing a show out of, what's that show we're doing on Saturday?
Chippewa Falls.
Oh, the Chippewa Valley.
The Chippewa Valley.
They are all on my website, though, at mattwatroba.net. I'm also doing my radio program is something you can tune into as well. That's every Saturday and Sunday starting at 6 o'clock Eastern at WKAR.org. I'm going to be doing a show at the day after Thanksgiving at the Arc in Ann Arbor. It's actually going to be on stage. For the last probably 25 years, I've had that spot. And I'll be there again. We're going to keep the tradition going on the day after Thanksgiving, so that's coming up. We're going to be playing for the Old Songs Festival coming up in November, which is also on the website. So please check out the website. Right. You'll find all our
doing a concert later this month for food gatherers. So we're trying to stay busy in this time of COVID and upheaval.
Thank you for asking, sir. You have a very kind face. That happens to be our manager and booking agent, David Tamulevich. So,
trying to make sure we're going to be where we're supposed to be.
That's right.
And if you haven't heard Mustard's Retreat, which I'm sure you already have, you've got to check out one of their live shows as well. They are an amazing duo these days, full of life.
Yeah, thank you. And hello to Joan Hellman up there.
Hi, Joan.
Oh, yeah, hi. And I want to thank all the musicians for keeping us sane and providing music online.
Well, it's our pleasure. It's like, either we could do what we love to do or we could just sit around and watch Laverne and Shirley reruns.
Wait a minute, that's an option?
Yeah, I'd say it's better to play a guitar than
Probably better to
curse
play a
the
guitar.
darkness. So yeah, thank you so much for what you do.
But it is a challenge, Joan, as you know. It's you know, it's a lot of musicians, especially those of us who depended on it for the most of their living. They're struggling right now.
Oh, I know.
Yep, as are the places like the Calliope House and the Ark and all these great venues. So you know, the thing I have confidence and faith in though is we figure this stuff out. You know, we will figure this stuff out. We always do.
We'll all be more tech savvy at the end.
Yeah, that's true. And we'll probably still do these kinds of shows in addition, because one of the things that makes these shows so great is that one of the things that makes this so great is that people are able to tune in from anywhere in the
Yeah,
world.
I know. I agree.
What is that you're holding up?
Tom Mansell, what is that?
I can't. What is that, Tom?
That is Ed Grimley.
Ed Grimley. Oh no! That's Mr. Bill.
That's Mr. Bill. Well,
Ed's cousin, Mr. Bill.
Tom, are you? Is this a signal? Do we need to send somebody for help? Are you okay? You're muted.
Sorry, Tom. I went to unmute you just as you did, so you ended up muted again.
There we go.
We need to send help. You all right?
It all depends who you ask and how am I. You ask the boss. I don't know. I guess I'm okay.
Good.
I must say,
You guys have certainly improved the evening.
Well, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Glad to do it. And it improves it for us too. Just doing this.
Guitar nerd question. Now, what guitars are you guys playing?
That's a good question because they are unique guitars.
Right. Well, my guitar is actually made by a guy named Gary Zimnicki, who is a local metropolitan Detroit builder. And he found a house that had been, the wood from his house that had been built in 1910. He took and harvested and repurposed it. So if you look on the back of my guitar, you'll see these stripes. These wide panels are floorboards.
Wow.
100-year-old house. And the dark wood is walnut taken from the shelves. And the top is from a Douglas fir ceiling joist. So this is a guitar that he calls reclaimed, a reclaimed wood guitar. I call it This Old House. So it's pretty cool.
And my guitar is also custom built. And the story behind this guitar, look at the wood on that. It's just absolutely beautiful. I don't know if you can
That is
see
gorgeous.
that beautiful. And then the headstock has this owl on it as well. And this was built by a guitar maker out in Berrien Springs, Michigan by the name of Jay Berta. Jay Berta was married to Ann Hills for a while before Ann met Mark Moss and got married. And he's a great player and a great builder. He builds banjos, ukuleles, and all kinds of stuff. This originally belonged to the folk singing duo of Steve Gillette and Cindy Manson. And when I came back from Ohio, back to Michigan, where I belong, my guitar was falling apart. I was pretty broke. I was at a festival. Cindy was taking this guitar back to the maker to just to give it back to him because she said it wasn't getting nearly enough play that it deserved. But instead of giving it to back to Jay, she gave it to me as a gift about 5 years ago. And so this is a gift from Steve and Cindy, and I treasure it. And I'm glad you asked about it.
It's a beauty.
We did have a question on
waters
Facebook as
we
well.
swim in the folk music world. You know, that story right there is what sets this music apart from other music, I think.
We did have another question on Facebook about the microphone. That always seems to draw attention.
Yes, this is a microphone called an ear trumpet. And they make a lot of vintage-looking microphones. But they make them for weirdos like us who have often wondered how Leadbelly and Woody Guthrie and all of those guys and Pete Seeger could stand a mile away from a microphone and you could hear everything they were doing. So they build them with these large diaphragms, and this is one called I think it's called the Myrtle. And I love the look of it. I love the sound of it. I love the fact that you can sit this microphone out there somewhere and pick up everything.
Yeah, rather than having a narrow focus. It actually has a focus like this, so it picks up the ambience of the whole room. It's the only mic we have on all of us, and it sounded pretty good, right?
Yeah.
Oh, it sounded
You
wonderful.
can thank Brian Dozer. See Brian there in one of those squares? Brian was our engineer tonight. Thank you, Brian, for all your help. And to Brandon
My
as
pleasure.
well for setting this all up for us.
And the Paul Lynn Square. I'm dating myself. I'm sorry.
Brian, by the way, is also an excellent musician. You ought to check out his stuff. Are you still doing daily or weekly stuff, Brian?
3 times a week, I do a children's show in the mornings at 10 a.m. with my daughter.
It's so sweet to see him and his daughter together. Teenage daughter. I don't know how you manage that. But.
Yeah, well, there's some days where I'm like, what do you want to sing? And she's like, I don't want to do a thing.
At least you're cool 3 times a week.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But,
Yeah, and that, it's one of the things, as Joan pointed out, it's like, I probably would have not heard Brian if not for all this, and so we are also discovering a lot of new folks, making new friends this way, and hopefully they'll translate to actual friends that can hug each other or shake hands or something one day. So,
yeah, it'd be great to have you guys out east. I'm from the Boston area.
Oh man, the last time I actually played at the Calliope, a show that I did with Josh White Jr., and I was like lead belly and he was channeling his father. And that night it snowed and snowed and snowed. We got snowed in for 2 days. So it's like, oh boy, the road can be fun too.
I think one of the last concerts we did together was at the 8th Step in Albany on February 1st or 2nd, something like that, before this thing shut us all down. So we do get out to the East Coast. Are you in Massachusetts?
Yeah, I'm up near Don White, that area.
Oh, okay.
North Shore.
Oh yeah, Lynn. Yeah.
A lot of good coffee houses out here. Well,
yeah, that is the world of coffee houses out that area.
Yeah, we're looking to get see if we can get the Sam W Summer Acoustic Music Week back up and running virtually. So we're having some meetings about that. And I'm used to being at Lake Winnipesaukee almost every year in New Hampshire with my East Coast and Boston friends, and we missed it this year. So we're trying to see what we can do to get that going again. And people are beginning to use the technology thanks to folks like Brandon and yeah. So we really think we think that folks who are engineering and moving this technology forward, that we'll be able to do stuff with Brian, Brandon, and all those great geniuses.
It's interesting, it's like you think about this has been 7 or 8 months. I have never in the last 30 years gone 7 or 8 months without staying in a hotel room. I haven't stayed in a hotel room in, 8 months?
In 8 months, yeah.
I haven't been more than 25 miles away from home.
Well, Matt, they'll lift that ban pretty soon for you. Yeah.
Yeah. Throw one TV out the window and they just won't let you back into the Best Western. I don't know what it is.
Yes, well, it's like it's one of those things though that historically I think we will figure out that this challenge is going to present new opportunities. You can obviously reach people who could never get out. If they can sit there and enjoy this music from their homes, you create community around the world. You literally have folks who are, this music is reaching them, because one of the things is like, there's a suggested tip, but there's nobody at the door taking a tip, taking a ticket. So, there are people who are going to be able to hear this music who in times past couldn't get out, couldn't travel, and couldn't pay for it. And that's cool.
Is there anything else you wanted to say?
No, did you drink my water?
No, that's your water.
Okay.
I thought you were going to do
Oh, that's right.
I told him I'd give him $5.
I forgot. That's right. I'm supposed to say Pellegrino. I don't drink water often, but when I do, it's Pellegrino.
It's the sparkling water.
It's the sparkling water of the blues. That's right. That's right.
Good. We got our endorsement.
There you go.
That sounds like a song now. You're going to say that, you got to have a song.
I got to find something to rhyme with Pellegrino.
Can't believe you went corporate, man.
Right.
Hey, Robert. Robert, I just
And I
wanted
don't
to
think
say,
the corporate folks know I went corporate.
What was that?
I just wanted to tell Robert, the other night on Concert of Colors, you were smoking.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, we paid tribute to the great John Lee Hooker.
Oh, yeah.
And, talk about a guy who could do more with one chord than anybody you could imagine. But it was really nice to be asked to be a part of that, the Concert of Colors with Don Was and his all-star band. So yeah,
You were sharply dressed as well.
Does
thank you, sir.
does that exist? Can you see it now on a video or something?
It's probably on YouTube or something. They put it on, maybe on Vimeo. They broadcast the Concert of Colors, and it had a lot of really dynamic performers. There was Native American performers. There's lots of really great performers. So I was just felt pleased to be numbered amongst them. So so thank you for that compliment.
Well, all right, you guys. This sure was a lot of fun. I hope you enjoyed it as well.
And unlike Matt, I got to go home.
That's right. I am home.
So thank you so much. We appreciate it. Thank you for all that you do. Calliope, thank you. Is he gone? No, he just moved squares. Thank you, Brian, and everybody who tuned in. And thank you.
When are you doing another one of your videos about the music?
Oh yeah,
your life in music.
I've got one just about ready to drop again, so I'll make sure and let everybody know. I've been doing these little 3-song, 12-minute videos just about.
I only saw 1 and 2. Are you on 3 now, or have I missed some?
Yeah, you should be able to see 3 and 4.
Oh, okay. I'll look.
Those on YouTube?
Yep. Just go to my YouTube channel.
Okay.
Those have been fun to do. I told Dave Siglin about it because he makes an appearance in the first one. So. All right, you guys. Well, thanks again. Great seeing you.